Family dysfunction, particularly when shaped by personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, and borderline personality disorder, BPD, often leads to behaviors that invade others' privacy, such as constant window watching and stalking. These behaviors are deeply intertwined with the emotional dynamics of the family and reflect a need for control, lack of boundaries, and an inability to respect others' privacy. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, and stalking behaviors. Families with NPD often have a central figure, a parent or dominant member, who demands attention and control, shaping the behavior of others around them. In these dysfunctional dynamics, surveillance as control. Narcissistic individuals thrive on control, and in family settings, this can manifest as constant surveillance, both in person, through window watching, and digitally, through social media. They may feel entitled to know everything about others, constantly observing their actions to either assert dominance or find opportunities to criticize and undermine them. The constant monitoring of neighbors through windows mirrors their need to be at the center of everything, even extending beyond family boundaries. Need for validation. Narcissists often compare themselves to others, and by observing neighbors or passersby, they seek validation. Window watching can become a daily ritual for them, serving as a way to reinforce their belief that they are superior or to find flaws in others, which in turn bolsters their own self-image. Enabling environment. In families where NPD dominates, other members often become enablers or adopt similar behaviors. The entire family may become involved in this obsessive behavior of monitoring others, normalizing it as part of their daily routine. Family members may even compete with each other for the narcissist's approval, engaging in behaviors like spying on others to feed the narcissist information and further entrenching the family dysfunction. Number 2. Borderline personality disorder, BPD, and hypervigilance. Individuals with BPD experience emotional instability and a deep fear of abandonment, which can drive obsessive surveillance behaviors like window watching or stalking. Fear of betrayal. Those with BPD may constantly monitor others, fearing that people will abandon or betray them. In family dynamics, this can create an environment where everyone is emotionally hypervigilant, constantly watching for signs of disloyalty or emotional distance. Window watching may serve as a way to feel in control of external threats, projecting internal emotional instability onto the outside world. Emotional outbursts. BPD is often characterized by intense, unstable emotions. Watching others may fuel feelings of jealousy or anger, especially if those observed appear to have things the individual feels they lack, e.g., social connections, success, or happiness. This leads to emotional outbursts, both within the family and externally, as they feel unjustly deprived or threatened by others. Codependency and enmeshment. Families affected by BPD tend to be enmeshed, meaning that personal boundaries between members are blurred. Constant monitoring of each other and neighbors can be a way for family members to stay hyper-connected, even though it further erodes healthy boundaries. The need for emotional reassurance leads to obsessive watching and stalking behaviors, in and outside the home. 3. Family dysfunction and lack of boundaries. At the heart of these dysfunctional family dynamics is a profound lack of boundaries, which fuels behaviors like constant surveillance and stalking. Privacy erosion. In dysfunctional families with NPD or BPD, privacy is often non-existent. Children and other family members may grow up in an environment where it's normal to have their lives constantly scrutinized, leading them to adopt similar behaviors later in life. The habit of staring out windows or checking on neighbors could be an extension of the family's internal monitoring system, where no one's personal life is truly their own. Intrusiveness as normalized behavior. In families dominated by personality disorders, behaviors like stalking, gossiping, or spying on others are often viewed as acceptable or even necessary. Family members might even compete over who has the most information about someone else's life, leading to a culture of constant vigilance. This behavior extends to the community, where watching neighbors becomes an extension of their internal dysfunction. Codependence and control. Families with personality disorders tend to be highly codependent, meaning that individuals are overly reliant on each other emotionally. This leads to unhealthy attachments, where members feel the need to constantly monitor each other's behavior, extending this obsession outward to others in their environment. This constant surveillance is less about curiosity and more about maintaining a sense of control in a chaotic emotional landscape. 4. Stalking and voyeurism in dysfunctional families. In some cases, the compulsion to constantly watch or stalk others may become more extreme, especially when coupled with personality disorders like NPD or BPD. Voyeurism as power. For narcissistic individuals, watching others, particularly without their knowledge, can provide a sense of power. This behavior reinforces their belief that they are in control, as they feel they know more about others than those people realize. Voyeurism may give them a sense of superiority or satisfaction, as they enjoy the private act of watching while others are unaware. Fear and obsession. For individuals with BPD, stalking or voyeuristic behavior may stem from a combination of fear and obsession. They may feel the need to know everything about someone to feel secure, even if this behavior becomes intrusive or obsessive. This can manifest within families, where relationships are intensely monitored, and externally, as they stalk or monitor neighbors to quell their internal anxieties. 5. Impact of social media on surveillance behavior. Social media can worsen the voyeuristic and stalking tendencies already present in dysfunctional families affected by personality disorders. Digital stalking. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor allow people to observe others without direct interaction, reinforcing the desire for control and surveillance. In families with NPD or BPD, this can normalize obsessive checking of profiles, posts, and comments. The digital world provides an additional layer for individuals to exercise their need to monitor others, creating a parallel between physical window watching and digital stalking. Social media amplifies jealousy. For individuals with BPD or NPD, social media often becomes a battleground for comparison and envy. Watching neighbors or acquaintances succeed or experience happiness can intensify feelings of inadequacy or rage. This digital surveillance often complements real-world window watching, as they attempt to keep up with the lives of those around them and derive a sense of power or validation from the act. Conclusion. Family dynamics shaped by personality disorders like NPD and BPD lead to obsessive surveillance behaviors, such as constant window watching and stalking. These behaviors are deeply rooted in the need for control, emotional insecurity, and a lack of boundaries. In dysfunctional families, these habits often become normalized, creating an environment where privacy is disregarded and monitoring others becomes a compulsion. Social media further compounds this issue, providing a digital platform for these intrusive tendencies to flourish. 5. Impact on mental health. Staring out of windows obsessively and engaging in excessive social media use without respecting others' privacy can lead to and exacerbate mental health issues in individuals and families. Isolation and stagnation. Constantly watching others without engaging in meaningful activities or leaving the house can deepen feelings of isolation and stagnation. Over time, individuals may become trapped in a cycle where they feel disconnected from the outside world, but remain fixated on it, using voyeurism as a substitute for real interaction. In families with these tendencies, this behavior can become contagious, where family members reinforce each other's isolation and avoidance of meaningful engagement with the world. Increased anxiety and paranoia. For individuals with paranoid tendencies, constant surveillance, whether through social media or literal window watching, can heighten anxiety. The act of constantly monitoring others fuels a sense of impending threat or betrayal. Over time, this behavior can lead to heightened stress, sleeplessness, and even panic attacks, as individuals convince themselves that something bad is happening or will happen. Emotional dysregulation. People with BPD or NPD often struggle with emotional regulation. The constant surveillance of others, combined with the comparison culture of social media, can lead to intense mood swings, feelings of jealousy, or rage. For example, observing neighbors or social media friends having fun or achieving something might trigger feelings of envy or inadequacy, leading to aggressive behaviors or emotional outbursts. Reinforcement of obsessive-compulsive tendencies. Compulsively monitoring others through windows or social media can contribute to the development of obsessive compulsive behaviors. Individuals may feel compelled to watch others to prevent imagined negative outcomes, even though such behaviors do nothing to alleviate their distress. In families where obsessive traits are modeled, these compulsions can become normalized, creating a feedback loop that worsens the condition over time. Sick, generational transmission of dysfunction. In families where these behaviors are normalized, children often grow up internalizing the lack of boundaries, unhealthy surveillance habits, and compulsive social media use. Learned behaviors. Children in these families often model the behaviors they see from their caregivers or other family members. If parents or other adults are constantly staring out of windows or using social media to monitor others, children may adopt these habits as a normal part of life. This can lead to a generation of individuals who lack boundaries, feel entitled to invade others' privacy, and are unable to differentiate between healthy curiosity and obsessive surveillance. Intergenerational trauma. In families with personality disorders, unhealthy behaviors are often passed down through generations. The invasion of privacy, lack of emotional boundaries, and constant surveillance may stem from deeper issues within the family's history, such as unresolved trauma or abuse. Each generation repeats the dysfunctional patterns learned from the previous one, making it difficult to break the cycle of invasive, controlling behavior. Emotional manipulation and control. Families with narcissistic traits often use emotional manipulation to control others. Children raised in such environments may learn to use surveillance, both online and offline, as a tool for emotional control and domination. This can lead to toxic dynamics where family members are constantly monitoring each other's behavior to gain power, rather than fostering healthy relationships based on trust and mutual respect.